What's going on, Dodgers fans? Hope you're doing well out there. It is National League Division Series time with your Los Angeles Dodgers. We now know who they are going to face in the NLDS. They will be hosting the 89 and 73 San Diego Padres, pulling up a 3-game wildcard victory over the New York Mets. The New York Mets had 101 wins, and they had one of the biggest choke jobs in MLB history. I'll be the first to say I gave them too much credit. So let's get down to business. Your Dodgers are hosting the Padres in a best-of-5 game series. This season, the Dodgers played the Padres 19 times. They won 14-5 in 2022, and they outscored the Padres 109-47. The Padres have announced Mike Clevinger as their Game 1 starter, and as we're recording Sunday evening, we do not officially know who's starting for the Dodgers. They will probably announce that Monday by the time you're listening to this, but I'm going to go with the assumption it's Julio Urías. So we'll dive into the stats in just a second, but David Rosenthal, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. This was my prediction. I think I said Padres in 2 last week, so the Mets did manage to get a game, but I've been prepared for this since pretty much the bracket was announced. I think what happened with the Mets, besides them just being colossal chokers as an organization and Scherzer shitting his pants in game 1, is this is the result of what happened with the Dodgers and Giants last year. A long, arduous 162 game division race. And I think it caught up to the Mets. And frankly, it wouldn't shock me to see the same thing happen to the Braves against the Phillies, but that's not important right now. But we are seeing a familiar foe. They have not won a series against us since, I believe, May of 2021, I want to say, something like that. And yes, I see a lot of people kind of worried about it because, yes, the Padres do look a lot better than they did the last time they saw the Dodgers. They do have that hot team energy, but that sounded not how I meant it. You know what I'm saying, though.
You starting
they're coming in hot bracket they over there. Coming in hot. No bracket here for me. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn it over to Jake.
All right, it started out great.
Yeah.
So I really agree with your take on the Mets just kind of running out of gas, just like the Dodgers did last year. Their offense just went to sleep, and the Padres are a result of what happens when you catch fire at the right time. I mean, I felt like the Padres kind of had a nice little ramp up to the postseason, so they're kind of in that mode. I didn't expect Trent Grisham to become God on the field. Hope that stops, but maybe not. I also thought that the Mets were going to win that series, but now that we know that the Padres, I wanted the Padres to win. I expected the Mets to win, but I wanted the Padres just because of how we've played them this year. We've matched up really well against them, and we've, kind of beaten their best pitchers at times. So I'm intrigued, but I think it's easy to kind of, start freaking out, because of past playoff trauma. But we can get into that a little later.
Yeah, I for sure thought it would be the Mets or the Braves, but even maybe the Phillies, who also beat the Dodgers this regular season. But as a Dodgers fan, getting the Padres in round 1 is basically a best case scenario. We already talked about they've had their number all season long. They've had their number since they were born, for that matter. And if you don't have faith in this 111 win Dodger team to take out the Padres, then just hop off the wagon right now, because don't waste your time.
I agree.
The Dodgers have proven all season long that they are the better team. So they're facing Mike Clevinger, who 7-7 record, 4.33 ERA, but he's made 2 or 3 starts against the Dodgers this season, has a 9.69 ERA. He's given up 5 home runs over 13 innings. So it's 2 starts. No, it's 3 starts because they've shelled him. And the Dodgers have a 9.47 OPS. Another fun tidbit on Mike Clevinger, if you make him work the count, his pitches 51 through 100. Opponents have an OPS of 850. That's what I averaged out. And most of his pitches, he throws basically everything and does his little happy feet shuffle on the mound. His only real effective pitch is the changeup, and he'll only throw that to lefties.
Why do you think Bob Melvin is going with a guy with a 9 ERA versus the Dodgers?
Because who do they have left?
Are you going to throw Darvish on short rest?
Yeah, they have nobody left. You're not going Shaw Mania. He was even worse, arguably.
Yeah, you can't. Clevinger, you got to go Clevinger over Mania.
I would go bullpen game before I throw one of those guys at us.
You can't. They made that mistake accidentally 2 years ago in 2020, and they were not able to recover after Mike Clevinger, who actually started game one, one inning.
Well, that wasn't supposed to be a bullpen game, was it?
Yeah, but Kevin's point is it ended up being a bullpen game, and it cost them the rest of the series.
Well,
because
if you're not planning on doing a bullpen game, of course it's going to kind of throw you off, and you don't really have a plan for that. But if you're planning on having a bullpen game or kind of making Nick Martinez your long man, like I don't know. I just think it's if the Dodgers are doing that, I'd be very concerned.
All right. Well, I do have some stats here for Clevinger I want to get into. So good news for Dodgers. Good news for Dodgers fans. On the road, Clevinger has a 5.46 ERA with a holding opponents to a 2.55 batting average in 13 starts on the road. Again, at home compared to at home with where he has a 2.88 ERA with a 2.04 batting average in 9 starts. Better news. Well, relatively better news in terms of where I'm going with this is versus left-hand. He's a reverse splits guy. Versus left-handed hitters, hitters are hitting 211 with a 698 OPS, 13 home runs and 56 strikeouts. Whereas against right-handed hitters are hitting 257 with a 735 OPS, 35 strikeouts and 7 home runs. So where I'm going with this, Trace Thompson, also a reverse splits guy, 2 for 5 with a home run against Clevinger, where Joey Gallo is 1 for 12. You have to start Trace Thompson. Bottom line.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
I don't think that you can afford to start anybody else. I think he's earned that right, and he should be in the lineup. And I do we want to get into what we think the lineup is going to be against him?
Sure. I don't know how Chris Taylor does against Clevinger, but I think Trace Thompson gets the edge.
Yeah. And I think Lux would start at second base and you'd have Will Smith at catcher. So that means that either Muncy or JT at third, and then the other one's the DH.
Yeah, that's what the lineup has to be.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep. I don't think there'll be any surprises in game one. On the flip side, Julio Urías, he threw 24 innings against the Padres this season, and he went 3-0 with a 1.50 ERA. Looks like he held the Padres to a 181 batting average and a 5.58 on-base plus slugging. So the stats speak for themselves. You got to go Julio in game one. He's had their number all season long. And the Padres, outside of Juan Soto, I don't think they really have anyone who can hit lefties. You mentioned Trent Grissom, who went off in that Mets wildcard game, homered off Scherzer and DeGrom. Well, they're both right-handed pitchers, and the Dodgers are going to throw nothing but lefties, which I think is going to neutralize Grissom, I hope.
Yeah, the one guy Julio Urías has to worry about is Machado. I mean, Machado has had Urías' number all season long. That's it. That's the one guy in that lineup who's been able to do pretty much any damage against Urías. But also, Manny Machado tends to not be a clutch player in the playoffs, as we've seen. So interested to see how that one plays out. But Julio knows he's got to put him away.
Yeah, this season, Manny Machado ended up hitting 252 against the Dodgers with an 802 on base plus slugging, 4 home runs. But he also had 28 strikeouts against the Dodgers, which equated to 42% of his at-bats ended in a strikeout. And you mentioned he's not clutch. Innings 7 through 9, he's a 199 hitter.
Yeah, that's atrocious for a guy you're paying $300 million. But I mean, Machado is 10 for 27 against Urías lifetime with 4 home runs. So that's a 1,200 OPS.
Yeah, you just can't let him beat you. Just got to pitch around him and when appropriate and get the other guys.
Yeah.
If he's the only threat against you.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the lineup is awful, like truly awful. Even with those Machado stats, everybody on the Padres roster combined is hitting 169 with a 555 OPS. That's including Machado's 10 for 27.
I feel like if you go through every category, pitching, offense, defense, whatever, you'll find that the Dodgers have the significant edge over the Padres in every category. the thing that I'm worried about is just the postseason. It's a lot different, and I just, I'm just going to caution myself because, past playoff traumas, they don't go away. You still remember them. So for me, I'm cautiously optimistic, even though I am confident that the Dodgers will win. I really do believe that, but I'm cautiously optimistic because you just never know. I mean, the Mets thought they were going to cruise and they struggled the whole time.
That DeGrom strategy was the kiss of death for them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that was absolutely bulletin board material for San Diego, saying that they don't think they're not even going to use him against us because that's what they think of us.
Right.
That was the kiss of death. And I'll tell you another thing. Buck Showalter threw that game in the trash in the 7th inning when he didn't bring in Edwin Diaz when it was a 4-0 game. Obviously, it didn't end up mattering. But when you have, what are you saving him for? There's no tomorrow. Like, I could not believe that.
It's another Zach Britton moment.
Yeah, and it's not like Michael Givens had been good for the Mets either. He has not been good.
No, he hasn't.
So none of that. I hope Dave doesn't pull any of that. If we're fighting for our lives, you bring in Evan Phillips, you bring in Vesia, you bring in Chris Martin, whatever inning it is.
Dave Roberts has done that though in 2020, to give him credit. He brought in like Trinan in the 4th inning or something like that. So he's capable of doing that.
Yeah. Speaking of Trinan, who knows if he's going to be on the roster? We haven't heard a peep about that.
They sound cautiously optimistic, although I kind of remember, was the Padres that Ferguson opened up against? Didn't he strike out the side in order?
Sounds right.
So thought about it, but then again, they really only have 3 lefties that I would consider threats. One of them being Juan Soto, who ended up hitting 172 against the Dodgers this season, 0 home runs, 3 RBIs. So let's not let him get his first home run against us in the postseason. Jake Cronenworth, who was an all-star, the most quiet 88 RBIs I've ever seen out of a player, ended up hitting 176 against the Dodgers with a 488 OPS.
He was 0 for the series in the wild card round.
University of Michigan, Jake Cronenworth.
0 for the series, Jake Cronenworth. Oh, by the way, since we can all assume that it's going to be Julio, we will find out tomorrow because the game 1 starter is scheduled to go before the press after Dave Roberts tomorrow afternoon, I believe. Yeah, so we will find out tomorrow, meaning Monday.
Ever.
Yeah, we will find out Monday.
That sets up Kershaw Darvish for game 2, though.
Which would be electric. I think this series is going to be electric because the last time these two teams met, there were no fans, and it was in Texas, and so this is going to be the first playoff series that we've seen with these 2 iterations of the Dodgers and Padres, and it's going to be exciting. Also, that what the bull crap that they're trying to pull in San Diego by not allowing Dodgers fans or whatever the case is to buy tickets or something like that.
Yeah.
That's going to just fan the flames of Dodgers fans to try to make it in there.
Yeah, we should read that. I'll pull that up and we'll read it.
Yeah, we should get that right because the way I explained it was just awful.
Yeah. Go ahead though. Carry on. I'll find it.
I just think
I just am not...
Okay, I'm sorry. Never mind. I found it.
Good. Go.
Yeah. Okay, so this is from Padres season tickets or whatever. So it goes, Padres postseason ticket sales to verified fans, Padres insiders, and the public will be limited to the following counties and areas. And it lists a bunch of counties in the San Diego area. So San Diego County, Baja California, Laguna Niguel, and so on and so on. Orders by residents outside geo-limited areas is what they're calling it, will be canceled without notice and refunds given. Cowards.
Well,
that's all I have to say is cowards. You don't want to see your stadium filled up with Dodger blue, which, by the way, it still will be because Dodgers fans who want to go will find a way to go, period. So not only is this a bad optic, it's not even going to work.
There's just a lot of Dodgers fans that live in San Diego in general anyways. Yeah. So that's irrelevant. Ultimately, they'll do what they can. I feel like I remember the Diamondbacks owner at one point tried to ban Dodgers gear from Chase Field, and that never panned out either. I think that was like 2017 when the D-backs were relevant for 1 year.
What is this?
Well,
communist China, Arizona.
All you got to do to get Dodgers gear is go to Oracle Park.
Yeah, the rogue in quotations vendor.
Yeah. Well, I feel really good about this series. 3 or 4 games max. I mean, I'm just looking at our hitters, and these guys had a lot of success, especially the big 3 or big 4. Freddie Freeman hit 343 against the Padres, 986 OPS, 4 home runs, 17 RBIs. Mookie Betts finished with a 361 batting average, a 1,179 OPS, 3 home runs. Will Smith had 5 home runs and 12 RBIs, 923 OPS. And Trey Turner was a 317 hitter, which was above his batting average as well. And I know Max Muncy took some of the Padres deep. And
Clevinger.
Yes, exactly. He took Clevinger deep. I mean, Austin Barnes won't play much, but he had some success against the Padres. Gavin Lux earlier in the year did well against the Padres. He made them work the count. So 1 through 9, I feel pretty confident in our bats. Now, obviously, some of these guys seem to just tuck away and disappear in the postseason. But if this team is going to go through a similar 2020 run, I remember most of the team coming through. So why not have the same optimism this time around?
I'm glad you brought up that point of some of those players that kind of disappear in the postseason. This is going to be a huge test for Trey Turner. Can he handle it? Can he carry the offense when we need it to? Because you know that he's going to come up in big spots. And we saw kind of towards the end of the year, although there were a few games that he kind of went off, but towards the end of the year, he was chasing a lot outside the zone. So that's going to be something I'm going to be looking for, is to see how he handles the strike zone and if he's coming through in those big spots.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and declare game 1 as a must win for the Dodgers. You just have every advantage in this game. You're at home. You're facing a pitcher who you have tremendous success with. I mean, Betts is 7 for 14. Trey is 4 for 10. Smith is 4 for 7 with 2 home runs. Muncy 2 for 6 with a home run. Trace 2 for 5 with a home run. And Fred 1 for 7 with a home run. So you got to win this game. You got your ace on the mound. You got a scrub. You're facing a scrub who has a 9 ERA against you this season, who's bad on the road. You have to win this game. It's absolutely a must-win game, in my opinion. You can come back and win game 2 if you lose game 1, but you got to win game 1. You just got to go out and execute. The Dodgers are, like Jake said, Dodgers are far and away better in every single area against the Padres, but none of that shit matters if you don't execute. So you got to go out there early on. I want to see the first 3 innings. I want Clevinger's pitch count to be 60, 70 plus after 3 innings, period. Get into this bullpen, tire him out, and score a couple runs off Clevinger, and then coast to victory. Get 6 innings from Urías, hand it off to Phillips, Vesia, and Martin, and call it a day.
Sounds like the formula to success. I mean, the Padres bullpen sitting a league average. It's 383. They got obviously Josh Hader as their closer, who has turned the corner the last month. Nick Martinez is essentially their utility guy. And then
Suarez is a problem.
Suarez is the 101. I think he can throw a 101.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did that guy come from? Because I don't remember him.
He kind of just put it together recently.
That dude throws easy gas, like fucking Brewstar Gratterall easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the 2 guys you got to worry about. Everybody else in that bullpen is more than hittable.
Yeah, I think Craig Stammen is injured or in the minors, so I don't think we'll be seeing him.
They got a couple other Craig Stammens we can get to. Pierce Johnson is the Craig Stammen in waiting.
How about Morihone?
That was the outing against the Mets in game 2 is up there for worst outings of all time.
It was bad.
You got no outs. You gave up runs, and you took 45 minutes to do it. You threw 30 pitches for what? You did nothing.
Yep. That was an empty inning for him.
I mean, I would like to hear a case for someone else's worse outing than that.
I mean, maybe based off the money they paid Max Scherzer, because my God, I don't think I've ever seen a worse start from a starting pitcher ever in a postseason game.
You know,
he lost them the series.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He did right out of the gate. And I don't know, there was this weird thing. I know we've kind of had it his whole career with Mad Max, but for some reason they kind of ramped it up and they're like showing him doing psycho things in the dugout in the bullpen, getting ready for the start. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is why you bring this guy in. These are the big moments. The 2 times that the Mets needed Scherzer, he shit the bed. The one before was against the Braves when they did the only thing that they couldn't have done was get swept. And that's what they did.
Yep.
And he was one of those losses. So boy, did the same thing to the Mets that he did to the Dodgers, only the Dodgers didn't have to pay him that much.
It all goes back to the DeGrom strategy. Not using him in game 1 was the absolute kiss of death for them, period.
You go with your
Period.
horse. You go with your bet. If he's healthy, you go with your horse.
You can't plan for the next series. You just can't do it.
It always comes back to bite
and they
you.
deserve to lose because of it. Not only did they play like shit, they deserve to lose for having that coward mentality. Send your best guy out there. Figure out the rest later.
Well, that's what's weird, because leading up to that point, Max Scherzer was their best guy. And, I mean, how can you foresee him giving up 7 runs and 4 home runs?
Yeah.
It was a disaster.
Yeah.
They needed more out of him. But the decision was DeGrom, and we all said that. It wasn't a Monday morning quarterbacking thing. We all said it before that it was a bad idea.
It doesn't matter you pay Max Scherzer $42 million. Jacob DeGrom's arguably the best pitcher in baseball, and no one's going to tell you Scherzer is better than DeGrom. So you got to go with that guy.
It's pretty close. I feel like people are touting up DeGrom a slight bit much.
Bro, he won the only game that they won in that series.
Yeah.
I know, but he pitched game 2, which is basically fine. It's not a best of 1. It's a best of 3. Scherzer has won a World Series. He was in the postseason last year, and he's had success against the Padres a lot in his career, but it doesn't matter now. It backfired.
Yeah. And then Chris Bassett. Also, what did we think of the gamesmanship with Buck Showalter checking on
Loved it.
Musgrove?
Absolutely loved it, dude.
That was wild.
I mean, it completely and totally backfired, but I loved it.
And the umpires just caressing his ear, both of them. I was like, oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah, and then you got Andrew McCutchen, putting his tinfoil hat on saying it's icy hot, which is possible, but man, did that backfire. That just completely energized Musgrove even more. He completely alphaed Buck Showalter. That is by far the biggest alpha I've seen probably this season. So I give a lot of respect to Musgrove for that. I mean,
he cheated. And
he cheated in 2017, yeah, but tonight he obviously didn't cheat. So
did you see the pictures of his ear? It was like full of white stuff.
Well, I mean, the umpires checked it. So
because what happened was, it's not very hard for someone just wipe it off their face real quick, and that's exactly what the video caught Musgrove doing. So if he pulls that shit against the Dodgers, it's probably gonna be in Petco. He might be their game 3, game 4 starter. We'll talk about that maybe in the next episode, because we're kind of just focused on game 1 and 2 here. I will march down to Petco and I will punch him in the face.
And that'll be the end of you.
Well, I think, he could have had something on it, but I mean, McCutchen, I feel like is on the right track there. I think it was, obviously it was something, but obviously it wasn't sticky.
What if it worked? They weren't hitting Musgrove anyway. If he goes out there and says that has substance or whatever, and they check him and he actually does and gets tossed, well, then you've just gotten the guy out of the game and now you have maybe a chance. So I think it was a desperation move from him.
It was, but if you look at his numbers, his velocity was up over 2 miles an hour from his season average,
and the spin
rate was up significantly as well. So yes, that could be attributed to adrenaline in terms of the velocity. And if your velocity is higher, your spin rate's probably going to be higher as well. So I'm giving him a pass here, but we're watching you.
Thin ice, buddy.
Yeah.
I am not giving him a pass because, like I said, the evidence was clear. He'd been struggling leading up to that start, and now all of a sudden he's an ace. I don't buy it. So,
but he's been good before.
He's been killing it the last 5 starts. He's only given up 1 run in his last 5 starts.
Really? I thought the Dodgers got to him.
I don't think that was his last 5 starts. They didn't play recently, did they?
Oh, they definitely did.
All right, we'll put a pin in that. I'll look it up. But I thought I heard the broadcast say 1 earned run in his last 5.
I'm not sure. But yes, I think we've covered pretty much everything. Game 2, we do have I believe it will be Yu Darvish. He was the September pitcher of the month. He pitched pretty well against the Dodgers overall this season. Ended up finishing 1-2, 2.52 ERA, 31 strikeouts over 25 innings pitched. And Clayton Kershaw, the presumed Game 2 starter, went 1-0 against San Diego in 2 starts, 12 innings, and 0.75 ERA. So that should be a pitcher's duel right there.
Yeah, I like that Kershaw's going to be able to pitch at home. I think that's going to play to his advantage. And I think Darvish pitching at Dodger Stadium is going to be a severe challenge for him, given what happened in 2017 and just the demons he's had there. I think, that could very well be a factor for him. And the Dodgers fans are not going to give him an easy time, nor should they. But I think the Dodgers have a real chance to come out of this first 2 games 2-0. If the bats execute, I've said it 3 episodes in a row now, 5 runs will get you the win. I'm trusting Julio Urías and Kershaw in the bullpen to hold the Padres under 5 runs. So if you can get 5 runs, you're going to win the game. I'm taking that to the bank. Put up 5, go to San Diego up 2-0, and you're not going to lose 3 in a row. You're just not going to do it.
I think the Dodgers need to win either 1 or 2 games before Snell. That's a must, because Snell, for whatever reason, has their number, and that's the guy that you don't want to be faced when if you have your back against the wall.
Yeah.
So
Snell's going to be.
I agree with you that this first game is a must win given the circumstances that you laid out.
Snell is going to be the Game 3 starter.
Yeah,
it's going to be
According
Snell
to Bob
versus
Anderson.
According to Bob Nightingale, it's Musgrove. I don't know how he came up with that.
Well, Musgrove would be pitching on 3 days rest if he pitches on Thursday. Or Game 3 is on Friday, right?
Is there 1 day for travel?
Yeah. Okay. So that would be 4 days rest for Musgrove.
So to your point, Musgrove gave up 1 earned run over his last 4 starts, but the 2 previous starts, he gave up 8 runs. So
okay. So including tonight, it was 1 earned run in his last 5.
Yeah, including tonight. Yep, that is correct.
The more you know.
Yeah, but like I said, I think that pretty much is going to cover the first 2 games. We'll probably go live either after Game 1 or Game 2 and kind of wrap up what's happened and talk about the second half of the series. Any predictions you guys want to throw out there real quick? What player do you think makes the biggest impact in one of these first 2 games at Dodger Stadium?
I think it's going to be, well, like I said, I hope it's Trey Turner, but I think it's going to be Freddie Freeman. I think that he is going to be that consistent October bat that we've been seeking and that we've been longing for quite some time. And I've loved everything about him, his personality. I mean, except for those few days in Atlanta, that was a bit much, but other than that, he's been an absolute, just a joy to watch all season long. And just the way he goes about it, the way he wants to play, the way he doesn't want a day off, like that, you gotta love that shit. That's the type of athlete you want on your team. So I really think Freddie is gonna show up.
I'm going to say Mookie Betts. I think he's going to have a really good postseason. Like I said, he has tremendous success against Clevinger, 7 for 14, and Darvish, 5 for 26, not the best, 192 average, 673 OPS. But I think he's gonna get on base a lot in these first 2 games, and I think he's going to set the table for Trey, Fred, and Will. And I think he's going to be solid in the outfield as well. I think he has. I'm gonna call a shot here. I'm gonna say Mookie Betts has an outfield assist in one of the first 2 games.
Love it. Book it.
Yep, those would be my 2 guys as well. I think Mookie Betts will have a leadoff home run in one of those 2 games. I think Freddie Freeman will have a multi-RBI performance in one of those 2 games. And I think Justin Turner will have a big hit in one of those 2 games as well. Pitching wise, I expect some big things out of the Dodgers bullpen. I think Evan Phillips will make a statement and get more national recognition, probably in a high leverage situation where he'll strike out at least 2 of the big 3 Padres, thus being Machado and Soto. And yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good going into the series. I think the Dodgers know they got to take care of business, and they know that they're playing for a World Series. So hopefully it's not like the 2020 Brave series where they couldn't get up for the first half of the series. They need a 1-3 deficit to get the momentum going.
Yeah, they have a real chance to set themselves up nicely here. If it is going to be Musgrove in game 3, whatever. So it's either going to be Snell, Musgrove 3 and 4 against Tyler Anderson, and then Tony Gonsolin plus committee. So you're in a good spot the first 2 games. It does get a little murky in games 3 and 4. So if you can definitely win 1 and sneak 2 in LA, you're golden. You're golden. But you got to set the tone early in game 1. I want Clevinger's pitch count at 20 in the first inning.
I just want runs. I don't care about the pitch count. Give me all the runs.
I mean, yeah, I'll take 4 runs and 4 pitches too, but
this was the best statistical team with runners in scoring position in all of Major League Baseball. They hit 272. That needs to carry over in October.
So it sounds like Miguel Vargas is getting a real look over Hanser Alberto for the roster.
Yeah. And it makes sense. The Padres don't really have many good lefties, so what's the point of Alberto anyways?
I mean,
Vargas,
the defense is the point.
Vargas was looking good in their scrimmage games. He hit a 3-run home run.
I just really hope that we don't have to rely on Hanser Alberto or Miguel Vargas to come through, because if we're having to rely on them to come through, then
Dave Roberts did something wrong.
Or we're just not scoring any runs.
Yeah, but at this point, you trust your guys. You know, you got a 1 through 9 lineup of guys who have produced all season long.
I agree.
Then Cody Bellinger, who's come alive lately and is really solid in October. So you trust your guys. Like, unless something happened to one of these guys, I'm not making a substitution all game.
Yeah, no, I'm fully with you. So that's why, I mean, I obviously would prefer Alberto if you're giving me the choice, but if Miguel makes it, I'm fine with that too, honestly.
All right, let's do DS series DS predictions real quick.
For this one or all of them?
Just the other ones.
Okay, so not this one.
We're all going to pick the Dodgers. What's the point?
Okay, fair.
So Braves, Phillies.
Yeah.
I think the Braves are going to sweep.
Oh, wow.
I think if the Phillies win, they'll win 1 game, but I think the Braves are going to the NLCS.
I'm torn on this one. I really am. I could see the Braves sweeping, but I'm going to just throw a dart here and say Phillies. I'm taking the Phillies.
Oh, you're taking the Phillies?
I'm taking the Phillies to beat the Braves.
Why?
Taking the Phillies in 5. I kind of hinted at it weeks ago when I thought it would be the Phillies and Braves as a 4-5, but we get the 2-6 or whatever instead. After what Nola and Wheeler did against the Cardinals, completely neutralizing Arenado and Goldschmidt, who are better than anyone on the Braves, I'm buying their stock. I think the Phillies, this is going to be more a Dodgers good luck path tour where we get the Padres and the Phillies and we get to coast to the World Series. I'm feeling it.
That would be so great. But honestly, the Braves have much more firepower than the Cardinals do, because they don't just have a Goldschmidt and Arenado. They have basically top to bottom just a really good lineup.
Yeah, it's not Paul DeJong and 78-year-old Albert Pujols. I'm also worried
Spencer Strider won't be healthy.
Yeah, that's a very good point and a good reason. But I'm picking the Phillies for what I said earlier. I think that division race takes a lot out of a team. I really do think that's going to be a factor here. Now, for who the Phillies are going to pitch outside of Nola and Wheeler, how they're going to get wins in those games, I don't know. But Bryce Harper is a superstar, so I think him and Schwarber are going to have to carry the load.
And also Nick Castellanos. What the heck happened to him?
Deep drive to left field.
How about the
American League?
Yeah, how about the Yankees and Guardians?
I said this one last week. I'm sticking with it. I'm taking the Guardians. I've said it all year. I said it about the Mets. The Mets were frauds, and the Yankees are even bigger frauds. It's Aaron Judge and nothing. Nothing. I think the rest of the Yankees lineup is going to disappear. I
Did
think
you-
Garrett Cole is going to choke like he always does in the postseason. Aroldis Chapman can't even choke because he missed a practice and they left him off the roster because his excuse wasn't good enough. Guardians are going to win this series. The Yankees are frauds.
Did you watch that Cleveland Tampa Bay series?
Yes.
The Guardians have nobody in that
They do
lineup.
just enough, Jake. They do just enough.
I know, and I'm not saying that the Yankees won't choke because they do have a tendency to do that. And I don't believe in Garrett Cole. I think he's way overrated. And I do believe that they're heavily reliant on Aaron Judge, but they do have a lot of other pieces in that lineup. And the Cleveland Guardians do not. The one thing that the Guardians have on their side is the fact that they've got two studs at the top of the rotation in Shane Bieber and Tristan McKenzie.
Well, don't sleep on the other two either. Cal Quantrill and Zach Plesac are legit starters. And
I
like
know
said,
they are.
Look
I
at
know
that
they are.
15-inning game. That bullpen, Kevin laughed at me last week. That bullpen is the best in baseball, period.
That is an elite bullpen. But they have the better pitching. So we'll
By
see.
far.
But I just don't know how they're going to score runs.
I think the Yankees win the Severino game, and that's it.
I'm gonna take Yankees in 5.
Taking Yankees in 3. The Guardians can't score. You guys mentioned it already. It was so painful watching that series. You're sleeping on Stanton big time. He has been a historic monster in the postseason. And DJ LeMahieu's been pretty well as well. And yeah, Garrett Cole, overpaid, overrated. But he's had a better season than Shane Bieber. So the Guardians can't hit. He's going to fool them. So I'm not amused by that series. And then finally,
Josh
Astros.
Naylor is going to take Garrett Cole deep. I just want to get that on tape.
Astros and Mariners real quick.
I think this goes against my better judgment, but I think I'm going to have to ride with the Mariners because I picked them to beat the Blue Jays. I believe they had magic on their team, and they showed that in Toronto at that insane comeback in Game 2 of the wild card series. I know that the Astros are the better team on paper, and they should cruise. That should be a sweep or at least a 4-game win for them. But I'm going with the Mariners in 5. I'm just going to believe. I'm tapping in. I'm believing. I'm riding with them.
Astros in 4.
Astros in 4 as well. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast, our preview of the Dodgers Padres NLDS first 2 games. You'll hear from us in a few days with our reaction and preview of the second half of the series. So with that being said, thanks for listening. Subscribe, give us 5 stars, and go Dodgers. Take it home, October, #always LA.
Great.